Australia is the sunburnt country, a land of beaches, solar panels and slip, slop, slap.
Slip, slop, slap in the sun this summer.
But did you know Australia doesn't actually get as much daylight as most other countries? Say what? Yep, it's true.
Australia is actually one of the worst countries in the world by the measure of daylight or sun.
Let's get this straight. We're talking about daylight here, not sunshine. Daylight is when the sun is over the horizon, not how much time the sun is in the sky, free from cloud cover. Perth, for example, gets an average of 12 hours, 6 minutes and 15 seconds of daylight per day. Grey, drizzly London actually gets 10 minutes per day more than Perth. Over the year, that adds up to more than 2.5 days extra daylight. Let's get astrophysicist Graham Jones to explain why that is. Graham?
The reason for this is that the Earth's orbit around the sun is not a perfect circle. At the beginning of January, the Earth is a bit closer to the sun. At the beginning of July, the Earth is a bit further away from the sun. When the Earth is closer to the sun, it's traveling along its orbit more quickly. And so seasonal changes happen more quickly. Now this happens in January. January is the southern hemisphere summer. That gives a slightly shorter season of summer around January and a slightly longer winter season around July. In the northern hemisphere, it's the other way around. So the northern hemisphere gets a longer summer, a shorter winter. That gives the northern hemisphere more daylight overall over the course of the year.
Right, let's go all the way up to the Arctic Circle to the town of Borda in Norway. Here they average 12 hours, 42 minutes and 49 seconds of daylight a day. That's over half an hour more daylight than Perth per day, which over the year adds up to an extra 23 days of daylight.
Perth is very close to the actual lowest level of sunlight in this region of the globe. If you wanted to find a place that gets less daylight than Perth, you could just go a little bit north to Carnarvon.
Carnarvon gets an average of 3 seconds less daylight per day than Perth, which adds up to about 18 minutes less over the year. That's because Australia is close to the tropics.
As we move away from the tropics, the amount of daylight actually goes up and increases.
Why is that? Well, Graham says that at the tropics, the sun tends to travel straight up from the horizon. Because the Earth is on a 23.5 degree tilt, depending on the time of year, as you go further north or south of the tropics, the sun rises at more of an angle, meaning sunset and sunrise take a little longer, giving us that extra daylight. So how do Australian towns and cities stack up? We mentioned Carnarvon gets 18 minutes less than Perth each year, but Sydney gets about 18 minutes more. Cairns gets about 12 minutes more, Melbourne an hour 13 minutes more, and Hobart gets half a minute more sunlight a day, which adds up to more than 3 hours extra daylight a year.
We should say that many people around the world are very jealous of Western Australian levels of sunshine. But if we're talking about sunlight or daylight, then it is indeed the case that, Western Australia actually has very little daylight compared to many other parts of the world.
So there you have it. Despite our reputation as the sunburnt country, our daylight just doesn't stack up to the rest of the world.